Okay, Wyatt, little before and after. From our session today, mate. So what we said first, I mean, let's talk about body first, right? So you can see as we're going back, there's a bit of head movement out the box, right? A little bit of head movement to the right, away from the target. A little bit of hip movement to the right, away from the target. And like I explained it, like, you know, the more your head and your hips move away from the target, the more likely you are of hitting the ground behind the ball, right? If your head and your hips move more this way towards the target, the more likely you are of hitting the ground after the ball, which is what we want, because we want the clubhead travelling down, right? So it's just kind of and then of course your head stays back as well as your hips move forward, right? So there's that issue, whereas you can see Dustin Johnson kind of keeps his head centered, comes down, dips a little bit. If anything, he moves his head forward, right, and then kind of just moves back just a tad as he gets to hit it and extends, right? So it just gets back in the box there. But you can see, hits the ball in the box, starts in the box with the head, right? So head, very important, right? The other one is obviously the hips. The you know, if anything, at the top of his swing, he's got a little bit of space there next to his right pocket, which tells me his hips, the centre of his hips, have moved maybe from the from maybe the yellow dot to the green dot, right? And that's all he's doing, right? Moving his hips forward a little bit as he's turning, right? There's a little bit of extension in there as well as his body extends as well, but really the lesson there is just turning whilst moving the hips forward, right? The next one is the hand and arm structure, right? So what we said was your right hand is too low on the club, and therefore the pressure on top of the left thumb you don't maintain through the shot, right? So you see as you go back there, your right hand kind of comes, it starts off your left thumb, it's not on top of your left thumb to begin with, and then kind of comes away from your left thumb as you get up to the top, right? So that action, and then as you come down, kind of, you know, your right hand starting to get back on your left thumb, starting to uncock it too soon, is part of the issue. The other part of the issue is coming down, and you know, it's all related. So the more the hands aren't connected, the more wider apart the elbows tend to be, right?
His are like straight together.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, as soon as we put a ball in your arms, you started doing it, because as we start to come down, look how tucked his right elbow's getting, right? You can actually see his right elbow underneath his left one there, right? And then as he comes down there, if we stop him sort of in that position, just short of P6, and we put a dot where his shoulder is and a dot where his elbow is, and we draw a line there, that's where his elbow is. So then from elbow to wrist is like that. So there's still a lot of bend in that right arm in that position, right? When you come down, kind of straight and extended too much, right? So we want to try and emulate that position on the right side with your elbow being tucked, and then your hands can be more forward at P6, and then your hands can be more forward at P7 at impact, right? So you can see there, his hands are kind of under his shoulder, shaft's still leaning forward. Whereas because your handle's too far back, you hit the ball with the shaft too far back, right? Not enough forward shaft lean. So the first thing we did was get a stick on the ground, right, that yellow stick, and I said, right, when you swing up to the top, I want your hips moving forward. Boom. So that's totally different to that, right?
Looks way better.
Also notice how as your hips move forward, you've kind of straightened that right leg a little bit, and you've got way more hip turn. More hip turn equals more shoulder turn, right? So then looking at it from the down the line view, your hands would have got behind your shoulder a bit more. So you'd be in a better position at the top just because you've got more turn, right? But better structure with the hands, right? Your right hand's more on top of your left thumb. We've got that ball between your arms for structure. And now as we come down, when you came down, you see how that right elbow kind of just always stays above. There's your left elbow. There's your right elbow. Your right elbow always stays above your left one, look, right? Whereas what we're doing now is you're trying to feel like your right elbow is getting underneath your left elbow. There you go, right? So look at the position of that right arm now, right? Much more tucked with the elbow, just like we saw Dustin Johnson, right? So your elbow's here, your shoulder's there. Now you've got way more bend in the right arm. There you go. That's better, mate. That's better with the right arm, right?
Yeah.
So the point is the shaft, by the time you get down to P6, shaft parallel with the ground, your hands are more over your right thigh because of how your arms are structured and the action of that right elbow coming down, right? And then you can get them more forward impact. Got face a little open, right? But we said when you're getting down to here, your left wrist is very cupped. We talked about that and just kind of getting that left wrist bowing a little bit, squaring the face a little bit, right? But with regards to the action and hand path, and right elbow position, you know, we didn't really talk that much in deeply about club face control, right? That's for further down the line. But you look at shoulder to hands, more under your shoulder, and then shaft leaning forward. Whereas hands too far back, shaft leaning back.
And you can tell how much more weight is on the front side and my head.
Yeah. You got it. Yeah. So head's better at the top, hips are better at the top. Now, there you go. So your head never moves back. Look now.
Yeah.
Right. So that's really good. Practicing down to there, tucking the elbow, and then from there you just let it go. And another good tip would be look how early this right arm is extended. We don't really want the right arm to extend fully until after the shot. That's another good way of thinking about it. Through impact, your right arm should still be a little bit bent. It's gradually extending from the top, right? It's gradually getting further. Your hands are gradually getting further from your right shoulder as you're coming down, right? But this right arm shouldn't fully extend until after you hit it. Yeah. So that's good. That's a big difference. You're going to see better ball striking. You're going to see a divot after the ball instead of picking it and taking it too clean. You're going to hit it in the sweet spot rather than off the bottom grooves.
Even doing those
right?
kind of half swings, felt way better.
Good.